and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Dress Histories with me, Kate Strasdin. It was my wedding anniversary this weekend, and I thought it would be quite nice to do something that related, in a sense, both to what I've been talking to you about in other episodes, but also during this wedding season, it's a hot sunny day, something that has some resonance with what people are maybe doing at the moment. And so today's episode is all about Honiton Lace. Now, this is a subject that's really close to my heart because I am actually a lace maker. Not a hugely proficient one, I have to say, even though I've been learning it for about 22 years, but it's been very patchy. There's been a lot of breaks in between. So it's something that I really enjoy doing, but it's not for the faint-hearted. It is quite a complicated act, and I thought it'd be really interesting to explore that today. The history of lace, of course, is a very long and involved one, and I'm not going to cover all of that today. But if you think about portraits like these, Tudor portraits that show very elaborate and beautiful examples of historic lace, ruffs that were made from this kind of reticella lace, which was very popular in the 16th century, and you see it on ruffs. But lace was highly prized, very, very expensive to buy, and it was a sign of status. So lace was often subject to sumptuary laws where only people of a certain social status were allowed to wear it. But the lace I'm talking about today is a very specific kind of lace. Honiton lace, or rather East Devon lace, because it's not just made in the town of Honiton. It's made all around, or it was historically made all around the area of East Devon and the coastal towns and villages around that area. It bears some relationship to Brussels lace. This is a picture of some Brussels bobbin lace. It is a floral lace made with bobbins, wooden bobbins, and they have a very particular kind of stylised flowers that are distinctive to Brussels lace. Honiton lace does bear some relation to Brussels. If you look at this piece, it is a floral lace. It's made of different motifs that are joined together, but the motifs are different and they're distinctive in their own right. So it is Honiton that I'm talking about today. Honiton lace came over, the roots of it are kind of hazy, but probably around the 17th century, there are records of bone lace being made in East Devon, and it's likely that this kind of lace making came over with Huguenot refugees, which hence its association with that kind of North European style. So Honiton lace started to be made in the part of Devon. Incidentally, I live in Devon, so again, there's this really interesting connection for me. Honiton started to be made in East Devon, and it became very much a cottage industry. Here you have, this is a popular postcard from the 19th century, probably for the tourist trade, but nonetheless it captures what Honiton lace was about for a very long time, which was about predominantly women working in their cottages at their lace pillows, where they would weave their lace motifs that would get sent to the lace designer or the family of makers that they worked for. They would then be pieced together to form a larger piece, bleached and then sold, usually to clients. There might be a dealer in Honiton and they would be sold, travel to London and be sold there because it was very fashionable. It remained a cottage industry for a very long time. But how is it made? So it starts off, I've got a pattern of mine here. Hopefully you can see, maybe that's better. This is a kind of glazed cardboard, and the first part of the process requires the pattern to be pricked out. Now, the pattern would be overlaid, a paper pattern would be overlaid over this card, and then with a little pricking tool, every single hole that you can see there, I'm going to hold this in really close, has to be pricked out before you can start making the lace. So that in itself is quite a time-consuming process. Once it's been pricked out and this pattern is placed onto the pillow, then you can start to make the lace. This is a picture of the supplies that you need, the kind of beginner's kit, if you like. The Honiton Lace pillow is a domed pillow. Now, lots of different varieties of regional and European laces from all over the world have different pillows. They might be square, they might be more of a bolster style. The Honiton Lace pillow is distinctive because it's round, and it's a round dome. It's flattened in the middle, it's not like a complete globe, but it is more round than other pillows. You set up your pillow with generally navy blue cover cloths. These are cotton cloths that protect the majority of the pattern from view. So you only have a little triangle of the work visible whilst you are working on it, and the rest is hidden behind the cover cloths. I think you can see in this picture how it looks when it's set up and when you're working on it. Honiton Lace bobbins are made of wood, and they are also very distinctive. Some of you may have seen other kinds of bobbins before, which are spangled. They have metal loops on the end with beads, and that's to weigh them down because it's for a different kind of lace. But Honiton Lace bobbins are very fine. Older bobbins would be decorated with either something called aquafortis, which was a sort of acid that would stain the wood in different patterns and give it a mottled kind of effect. Or they would be incised, so the bobbins would be incised with little holes, and then dye or different colours would be rubbed into them to create patterns. Contemporary bobbins are often or normally painted. So for example, this is one that I had. My mum got this for me. I'm going to hold it as close as I can for you to see. This was actually one when my first son was born, so it's got his birth date on there. They are beautiful little painted miniatures. This is by an artist called Janet Retter, who paints these beautiful bobbins. She also did a set called The 12 Days of Christmas, and each year would issue a different one. So here you have 5 gold rings for the 12 Days of Christmas, and there's a whole set. But you can see they're very fine, they are very lightweight, and when you're working them, they make a really lovely, the sound of Honiton Lace working is very distinctive. It's this very sort of light clink. So when you've got your pillow set up, you then attach the bobbins in a way that I'm not going to talk now. There are YouTube videos if you're interested. So the bobbins are set up, and the cotton that's used for, it's white cotton. So it's just a white cotton thread. In the 19th century, the cotton thread was incredibly fine, of a fineness that isn't made any longer, it's no longer produced. And it's so fine that it's said that a good quality piece of Honiton lace would take between 8 and 10 hours per square inch to make. So it is a time-consuming hobby, and it was a time-consuming industry. It had undergone something of a slump at the beginning of the 19th century because machine-made lace started to be produced in greater quantities. Certainly by around 1817, you had companies like John Heathcote's who were producing bobbinet, which was a kind of machine lace. It was very expensive because it was a new technology, but the speed at which it could produce lace meant that as the century progressed, handmade lace began to fall out of fashion. That is until Queen Victoria came along. Here is a picture of Queen Victoria actually wearing her wedding lace when she was much older, and she prized her wedding lace as, I think, a memento of her marriage to Prince Albert, and so she did wear it on special occasions all through her life. She had her dress made, or the lace for her dress made. It was overseen by a lady called Jane Bidney. and a group of lace makers around the village of Beer in East Devon. And they worked for a very long time on producing Queen Victoria's wedding lace. There's a lovely report in the Times that talks about how they were treated to a high tea after the wedding had taken place. These weren't women that were paid very much, incidentally. This is piecework in a way. And so I hope they did get paid more than just a high tea. But this is a picture of Queen Victoria's dress as it survives now. Some of you may have seen it in the collections of, it's in the Royal Collection, but it's actually on display in Kensington Palace. And you can see the lace bertha that's still attached around the neckline. And then the actual flounce, when when Honiton lace is put together, the small pieces are put together to make the larger piece. It's called a flounce. So the dress flounce is actually stored separately. It was removable, so hence she was able to wear it with different garments. I came across the lace historically from my research into Queen Alexandra. You may have watched one of my earlier videos where I talk about my doctoral thesis, which was looking at the wardrobe of Alexandra, Princess of Wales, and later Queen Consort. And she had her dress made of Honiton lace. It was actually designed by somebody called Mary Tucker. This is Mary Tucker in her own wedding dress, or this is not her, but this is the dress as it survives now, at the Royal Albert Memorial Museum in Exeter, and her own very beautifully made Honiton lace veil. There are some lovely letters in the Devon Record Office that I studied, written by Mary to her cousin in London who ran the family lace shop, and she's talking about the commission and whether or not Queen Alexandra is happy with the lace and that she would really like to see it being worn by the princess. She never did, unfortunately, but it was a testament to the work of these women who produced this incredibly high status cloth. Honiton lace today is slightly problematic, only in as much as it takes a long time to make, so it's much more a hobby now. It's not very commercial because it takes too long to make, and you simply, if you paid somebody per hour for the amount of time it takes to make, it's not really viable. But there are some really interesting designers. So this is Caroline Biggin's work. She is a contemporary designer who makes amazing patterns. And there are lots of books available if you're interested, so have a look. There's beginner books that help show you what to do, and then there's more advanced books with a variety of different patterns. The future of Honiton lace is a really interesting concept then, because I really enjoy making it as a hobby. But what do I do with it? I end up giving it to people as gifts, which I hope they like. I sometimes think people might be dead bored of me giving them pieces of Honiton lace. But it's such a special craft, and it's one of those things, if we think about intangible cultural heritage programmes that are springing up all over the world, I think it's one of those ancient crafts that really needs to be protected. I'm one of the younger makers for sure, and how you keep people interested in something that is so labour intensive but very satisfying to make is a challenge for the future. But thanks for joining me again. I hope you enjoyed that today. See you again another time.